What's up, guys? It's Hannah.
And Caden.
And in less than 1 month, we will be taking this RV that we have been converting into our dream home on wheels to travel the country, and we need your guys' help with something.
So about a month ago, we posted a video that was about our route that we're planning to take, because we aren't just taking this on a regular old road trip. We're going to try and hit every single one of the continental United States, which is insane, I know. But we kind of made out and planned out a route and made a video on that, talking about how we're going to go south first and then head out west. But we're coming to you guys because we need some advice.
Over the past 2 months, while we've been spending so much time with this RV, we've been thinking a lot, and we realized that nothing is really set in stone yet until we leave. And we've come to the realization that we might actually want to go north first before we go south along the East Coast.
So if you guys don't know, we live in North Carolina, in Western North Carolina. So we've just kind of had in our heads that we're going to go south first. But like Hannah said, we're realizing that we don't really have to do that. A big part of this RV trip for us is that we want to go travel the world for as long as we want. We have no plans. You know, we want to go to college at some point, but we don't have to do that by any certain time. There's no deadline. So this video is just kind of going to be us talking to you and asking for your advice. And it's not going to be like our normal videos. It's more of just like a podcast. We just kind of want to talk to the camera. It's not going to be very many edits, anything like that, but we really just want your advice. So we are coming to you guys for help. Ask us questions, we'll respond, but we're also really hoping that we can get some good advice from you. If you guys have experience or you don't, we would love to hear your opinions no matter what.
And before you guys go into the comments right now and start typing, saying, oh, do this, oh, don't do that, blah, 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 let us give you our opinions and what we think about this, and then you can start commenting whatever you want.
Way too often we have people coming into our YouTube comments just start like judging us and like telling us we're doing stuff wrong. We definitely want your opinions, but we don't want just a bunch of criticism. So if you're being constructive and trying to help us, we love that. We really appreciate it. Please, there's no reason to just say like rude stuff. You know, we know that we are both 18-year-olds. We have almost no experience in this stuff. This entire thing is just a whole learning experience for us. We're trying to go out and live our lives before we get into the real world. And we know that we're kind of hitting a lot of those like bumps in the road right now. But we want advice. We don't want you guys to just be rude. It's a very small percentage of you guys, but we just want to kind of put that out there. But thank you in advance for everything you guys have to say. All right, so just to kind of restate the question, we are coming to YouTube to ask you guys what you guys think. Like we said, we are going on a big road trip, and literally less than a month from now, we're leaving home. We're literally moving into this RV full time to travel the country. We are literally trying to hit every single one of the continental United States. So we are coming to you guys to ask which route you guys think we should take. And really what we mean by that is, should we start going north? Should we start going south?
So Caden is going to talk about going south first and the pros and cons of those, and then I will be talking about the pros and cons of going north first.
So neither of us are really on a side here. We're just kind of talking about them individually just so that, you know, it makes it easier for you guys to understand. We're on the same team here. So whatever one of us decides, that's probably what the other one's going to agree with. But I'm going to talk about going south first. And we have come up with a big old list of all the pros and cons of each thing. So pros of going south. First thing is that we will get to go to the beach. Hannah, like, absolutely loves the beach, mainly because she gets to get tan and whatever. I don't really care that much. Love the beach, but, you know, that's more of a Hannah thing. Get tan is the second thing. Hannah definitely wrote this list, as you can see. But the big thing, I think, for me is that all of our family lives in the southern states. So, like, some of my family's in Charlotte, North Carolina, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Hannah's family, a lot of them are in Florida. So if we do go south first, it would be easy for us to go through and say bye to our families, just because we have no idea how long we're going to be on this adventure. It could be 6 months, it could be 10 years. We have absolutely no idea. And we don't even know if we're going to come back to the East Coast. So really, it would be nice for us to go through and say bye to everybody, even if it's just temporarily. It is also our original route. So we have made a video planning out, you know, each individual state we're going to go through, all the big cities we want to go through, some of the national parks, stuff like that, which, like we said, that's not set in stone. And even when we made that route video, it was not something that was set in stone. It was just giving us kind of an idea of what we want to do. So it would make it easier for us, but it doesn't really matter that much. And the last thing, and I think the biggest thing probably for Hannah, is that it is not cold. She hates the cold. So we would be going when it's hot, which, you know, it'd be cooling down around that time, but still it would be not cold outside, which is, I think, the big thing for Hannah. And that's kind of the main pros that we have. There are definitely a couple other small things, but those are really the things that have a lot of weight to us that are actually going to help us determine which way we want to go. But now we're going to talk about the cons of going south first. The first thing, and kind of the same thing that I was saying with the pros, is it will be hot still. And especially being in an RV, you know, living in this full time, our bed is, you know, up high. So it is going to get hot really quick. So if it's hot outside, let's say it's 100 degrees outside in Key West or something, that's where we want to go. then it's going to be like 120, 130 degrees in here just because it heats up so easily, which is okay in some sense because we do have air conditioning. But downsides to that is we would have to be using our generator, our gas generator, or our solar generator basically all the time, which we definitely don't want to do. And sure, there are probably some ways you can get around that, but it does kind of suck not having the things that you have in a regular, standard home, like a shower that we can use all the time, running cold water all the time, stuff like that, because we have water tanks, but if it's so hot outside, it's going to cause the water to be hot too. So stuff like that some people don't really think about, but we're trying to think about everything so that we don't leave and start having a bunch of issues. But honestly, just as to it being hot, we have gone on one like week-long adventure in this RV, and it was just along the east coast of North Carolina, and it was kind of right in the middle of summer, which didn't help, but it was so hot. You can see even right now, you might be able to see that we are sweating in here, and it's like 70, 80 degrees outside, but in the RV, it feels so much hotter. So just being in that heat all the time, all day, every day, and not knowing when we're actually going to be leaving the southern states would kind of suck. But it would mean that whenever we leave Florida, maybe we're getting out west into the, next year in the summer, which might be nice. All right, so another pretty scary thing is that it would be hurricane season. So leaving in September would kind of put us right in the middle of hurricane season. And obviously that sucks for a couple of reasons. One is that we would get out, let's say we're going down to Florida. And that's kind of where we're basing all this stuff on, just because Florida is like the biggest state where we'd be spending most of our time when we do go south. So that would mean that we get down to Florida, and let's say there is a storm that comes through. There are a lot of factors that kind of come into play there. There are a couple factors that we have to worry about. I think the biggest thing is that once we get into Florida, it is a really big state. So there would be a lot of money that we're just spending on even just gas. So, getting down, just literally just going from like North Florida all the way to the tip to like Key West, that is going to suck. It is going to take up so much money on just gas. So imagine we get down there and then there's a hurricane that's coming. For one, we have to worry about the hurricane traffic, trying to get out of Florida with all of that traffic. People that live in Florida or have been to Florida probably know traffic in general there just kind of sucks. So if we have to worry about a storm on top of that, it's going to suck even more. And having to worry about, spending $1,000 on gas just to get all the way through Florida is going to be insane. And that's going to hurt us a lot because we are only 18. We don't have a whole lot of money saved up. The last con that we have, and probably the saddest thing, is that there's not really a fall in Florida. So it's kind of just goes from summer to winter. And even winter isn't like it's cool down there. It might be weather's okay, but it's not like it's going to be cold, which does kind of suck for us because fall is like our favorite season just because it's getting into like snow. It's going to be really good weather. It's, most states have really good weather in fall, of course, other than like hurricane season. But there's not really a fall where you get to see like leaves fall and pretty colors, stuff like that. Florida just kind of stays the same. And then winter just gets a little bit sad. So even in North Carolina, which, obviously we're trying to leave North Carolina, but even here, there is really pretty things that happen during the fall time. So going north would mean that we get some of that, but Florida, we just don't really get a fall season, really anywhere on the south. So that's kind of all that we have for going south first. Definitely please leave comments and everything you have below, but first listen to what Hannah has to say about going north first.
We will start off with the pros of going north that I've come up with. All right, the first pro is obviously kind of going off what Caden just said. There's no hurricane season, so that wouldn't really be something we have to worry about if we go up north along the East Coast. Another thing, basically also going off of what Caden says, is that fall, like up north, northeast, whatever, it is very pretty up there. Like those states and some of those cities have like the prettiest fall views, fall attractions. Get your feet out of here. Up there would be I think fall up there would be very, very pretty for sure. The next pro that I came up with is, we both like to snowboard a lot, and if we go south first, we won't really be able to get to snowboard until we get all the way out west, but I thought if we go north first and it's, nice and cold up there come like October, November, then maybe we can even get a little snowboarding in before we head out west. Next up is we would get an early feel for like the winter and the coldness in the RV because we've experienced lots of heat in this RV, but one thing we haven't really experienced yet is it being cold. So if we go up north first, we'll kind of get a little taste for that, know how to deal with some of the colds. That way, when we get out west and it's all cold, we can like know how to handle that stuff. And also, if anything were to go wrong, like while it's cold outside, then we are kind of close enough to home to where we could just come back and figure things out, regroup a little if we need, and just go from there.
Which even that, we're talking about being close to home. Either way, if we go north or south, it is really the same thing. For some reason, when we think of going south, we think of like going down to Florida and then heading out west and just all of a sudden being super far from home. But for some reason, going north first just kind of feels like we're closer to home, and that may be because we have family and stuff like that that is close by. But realistically, they kind of are both the same thing in regards to our family being close and having resources if we need them.
And the last pro that I came up with is, I like photography a lot, so if we were to go up north first, I could get some really pretty pictures of, like, the fall up there. And realistically, fall just is a really good season to take good pictures just because of all of the colors and everything. It is just so pretty, and it would be so great.
Not even just for pictures, it is kind of just in general, like, pretty.
Now for the cons of going north. The first con we came up with is that we will have to winterize the RV sooner, and I'm not gonna lie, Caden's more familiar on what that means than I am, but from my understanding, that would just be a big task to have to deal with right before we leave, so I'm not sure.
Going into the cold states, it would definitely suck because we don't want to have like sitting water and stuff like that in our tanks. So we would have to like completely empty them so pipes and stuff aren't bursting. And you kind of think of it just like a home, how you have to keep your water dripping at night, stuff like that, so the pipes don't burst overnight. It's kind of the same thing with an RV. We don't want our water tanks or anything to go wrong, especially in an RV. A lot of the stuff in an RV, you have to get up under it or you have to break into the walls, stuff like that. Versus like a house, well, there's challenges to both, but it is just a different experience. So we would have to kind of research that more. We don't really know how to do that yet, even me. That would just be kind of a whole nother thing that we have to get into right when we leave. And there's already going to be so many other stressors that we don't necessarily know if that's worth it. And maybe you guys know more about that and you could give us some more info, but we don't really have a whole lot of knowledge on that yet.
The next big thing for us is that if we were to go north, we wouldn't really be able to see all of our family and friends before we head out west, which is kind of a big thing for us because that's part of the reason we decided to go south first, as Caden said earlier. The next con for me is that we won't really have much of an opportunity to go to the beach and, get tan if we go north first because, as we've stated throughout this whole video, it will just be pretty much cold once we get up there, so there won't really be much of summer left once we leave. Alright, and the last big con that I've come up with is that if we do go north first, the whole entire, first big chunk of our RV trip will basically just be cold. We'll go up north, it'll be cold, and then we'll basically be heading straight out west where it will just still be cold.
Yeah, so as you can see, there are tons of pros and cons to each side, and we definitely have more thoughts on each one, but don't want to bore you guys with our random super tiny little thoughts. So we do kind of want to say a few more things because those aren't really all of our thoughts. There are some more that aren't necessarily pros and cons for one side or the other. So we just kind of want to close this video out with some more of our thoughts. One of my big things is if we do go north, then that does mean that, even if it is cold weather outside, you can always make yourself, warmer. We can put on more layers, we can always have more blankets, we can turn the heat on in the RV, stuff like that. And we love snowboarding, so it sounds super fun. But if we go south, it's just going to be hot. Let's say it's 100 degrees out. There's only so much you can do to cool yourself off. Versus in the cold, you can always warm yourself up. So, Hannah definitely loves the heat more than I do. But personally, I would much rather be in a cold area and warm myself up than in a hot area and have to cool myself down.
Yeah, and kind of going off of what Caden said, I think it's a lot easier to, sleep when it's cold because when it's hot, I literally can't sleep. It's just miserable. Mm-hmm. But when it's cold outside, you can get all nice and cozy, wrap yourself up in, a million blankets, and it's so nice.
Yeah. And I know Hannah already said it, but, the biggest thing for me on this road trip is snowboarding. And if we go north, especially if we go up north and then head out west, we're basically going to be in snowboarding season, all the time. There's big mountains up north, basically everywhere, and I love that so much because we can be in places that you can snowboard all the time. And honestly, part of me feels like we're going to go up north and we're going to head west and we're never going to want to come back to the East Coast. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If we decide one day we don't want to go to all 50 states and then we love it out west so much that we want to stay there, then that's totally fine because it's up to us, and at the end of the day, that's really what matters.
Another option that's just kind of crossed our minds, we haven't really given it much thought yet, is what if we just go straight out west? Instead of going north or south or anything, we just go straight out west.
There definitely are pros and cons to that too, and it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because north versus south, we kind of have pros and cons for each, but west would just kind of be us doing it. There's not necessarily a reason for that, which I could see pros to that would be we get out and we can snowboard sooner and we would see some of those states that have really pretty scenery during the fall time. But it also means no seeing our family and no going to New York City or some of those big places that we want to see up north, which honestly is okay because part of me feels like we are going to head straight out west and we're going to love it so much that we're not going to want to finish this road trip necessarily. which of course one day we do want to hit every single one of the states, but it might not be something that we necessarily want to do all in the next 3 years, you know?
And lastly, we just want to close this video out by saying we are so lucky to be able to do this, and we are so thankful for all of you guys who are commenting and giving us tips and advice and helping us out, because we know that this is going to be a learning experience, and we know that it's going to be hard some days, and there's some days where we're going to hate it, but we are here for the challenge, and we are ready for whatever happens.
We are learning so many things day by day. Just spending so much time with this RV, we have learned so many things, and we know that it's going to be a learning experience even just when we're out on the road. So we really, really, really appreciate it. We can't thank you guys enough for all the advice you've given us. We probably couldn't get through this without you guys, and we really needed it, honestly. We do just want to finish it off, though, by saying, we are just going to end it by reminding ourselves and reminding you guys why we're doing this. We graduated high school literally 2 months ago, and we had the big idea that we wanted to buy an RV or a van or something that we can go travel the country in before we have to go into the big adult world. And we actually had that dream come true. So we are really happy it's happening, but we need to remind ourselves why we're doing this. You know, it's not just for YouTube. It's not just to make money. It's none of those things. It's so that we can get a bunch of memories and have all these experiences while we're still young. It is just so much better having each other and doing this together, because if we were doing it alone, sure, it'd be fun, but it is just 10 times better being with each other, and we love that so much. Well, I do. I don't know about Hannah.
It's all right.
But our goal here is to travel to every single one of the continental United States. And if that, does change, that's okay, because that's just a goal. And we know that one day we're going to have to settle down, and maybe, RV life isn't as fun or as easy as we might think. So maybe we're going to get out west and want to buy some land or buy a house. Whatever it is, we're allowed to do that. And we just need to keep in mind that this isn't something that we necessarily have to do forever. And we are able to if we want to forever, but it's not something that we have to do. It's all, just stuff that we want to do. And we have to keep that in mind, and we want you guys to keep that in mind, that we want to do this. We're not forcing ourselves. Nobody's forcing ourselves. And all of this is just a learning experience so that we can, make some core memories while we're still young.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Drop your advice down in the comments below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.